So I was doing my Wordle today, and I do my Wordle every day. And I'm one of those people that tries to play it as optimally as possible, reduce the number of guesses, and so on. And I thought today's Word is quite interesting of how the very intuitive strategy of, okay, just use the structure that I have and guess, like okay, force myself to guess a word which doesn't have S, T, A, and has R and D, but not in those spots, right? That would be a very intuitive strategy. Just abide the rules and get the word eventually. That may be the most optimal strategy. Now, it's actually not the most optimal strategy. And in this Wordle today, if you actually abide the strategy, it can mislead you and you are not guaranteed to get the correct answer. So I always start with stare. At this point, I'm just loyal to the word. It's not the most optimal, but it's a very good word. Um, it's giving me crane as the most optimal. I don't understand why that is, but that's like a whole nother topic. Like, if you look at the largest group that you get after guessing this word, like my word has a worst case scenario essentially of 321 possibilities after guessing, and this one is 356, so it seems worse, but whatever. It doesn't matter. So I play with stare, and then for the second word, because there's so many possibilities, I just sort of have a mnemonic for which letters in the alphabet occur most often in 5-letter words. So O, L, and N are three of the four letters which most commonly occur. So Lona, I can't compute all the possibilities, so this will have to do. Now at this point, I'm like, okay, um, I'm going to go for cider because I recognize that there may be this pattern of like, there's quite a few words like diver, wider, biker. So very often the I is in the second position, and I'll just try a word and see where it gets me. Now, at this point, I make a mistake because I try to do the human strategy. Okay, I've got the structure with an I, and I'll just try and fill in some letters and I'll get it eventually, right? So I'll try hiker, and then I'll try like, viper, and then I'll get to it eventually. But as it turns out, um, after this guess, my largest group is this one here. So I've got fiber, river, biker, mixer, fixer, hiker, and so on. And that's a group of 13, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah. So a group of 13. And this group of 13 um, is actually not something that I can deduce just by randomly going through all of these words. So, like, if I guess one of those words, then my next group is going to be like 6 or 7 words. So, at this point, what the right play was, instead of just trying to guess a random word, it's very unintuitive. So, what I have to do is I sort of have to realize, okay, these are all my possibilities. So playing optimally, I should have realized there are all of these options here, right? And there's just way too many options for my measly 3 guesses. And it's not like something you need to be a computer to do. It's a very human thing. You sort of realize the structure, IER, and you can think of biker, hiker, giver, fiber, and so on. So I can think of at least 5 words right off the bat. And if I sit and think about it long enough, I can be like, oh crap, okay, my guesses are not going to be enough. So at this point, what you could do, trying to play optimally, is you could open a spreadsheet like this and write down all the words you can think of. These are all the actual words that are possible. And I've written out only the F and the B here because we know about the I, E, and R exactly. So these are the only letters that we wouldn't know about this word. So if we actually go through each one of those letters, we'll see that P is the most common. Um, then you've got R, and then you've got all the other ones. And give me a second. Right, corrected my formula. So we can see for each letter we've got 6 P's, we've got 2 X's, we've got 3 V's wherever they are. Where are they? Where are they? Here, here, and here. Right? So for each letter we've got one of those. So then I can think, okay, let me think of a word which uses a P, and let's try to prioritize for like P, R, K, and V, and let's see what we can think of, right? Because those are the most common letters. And if you think about it, you can come up with a word like perky, for example, and then you can guess this word. And if you just give me a second. So if we think about this P, then it can either be in the word or not be in the word, and it actually can be in the precise location. So if it's in the precise location, then we've nailed it down to either piper or piker, right? Those are our two possibilities. If the P is not in the right location, then we've nailed it down to these three, so wiper, viper, or riper. And in the most uh, probable scenario, then it's none of these words. So we've got all of these words left now. And we've got the R and the K to help us. So if the R determines whether it's one of those words. So if the R is not in it, then all of our words left are here. And actually R is in the precise location. So it actually can tell us exactly if it's Hara or River. And so if R is not in the right location, then we've got the K, and the K can tell us whether it's biker and hiker. So in the worst case scenario, what we would have is these words, right? So we would have a group of 4 in the worst case scenario, because remember with the P, if it's in the right location, then it's 2. If it's in the wrong location, then it's 3. So in the worst case scenario, we would be between FB, FB, no, not BK, because the K is not in, right? That's what we said. So did I do it wrong? Let's go through it again. So these are wrong. So if the R is not in it, then we can eliminate those two. So let's eliminate them. And the K is not in. So then we can eliminate these two. So now it's between, yes, MX, FX, GV. MX, FX, and GV. 36. We need to center them as well. Okay. So now it's between these words, right? And we can think of another word, like let's say, what would it be? What can we think of here? So we can see that the F occurs twice and the X occurs twice. So if we guess a word which has both F and X, this is annoying me. If we guess a word which has both F and X, then if none of them are in, we know it's this. If both of them are in, we know it's this. If it's only the X, we know it's this. And if it's only F, then we know it's this. So what we can do is we can actually just guess one of those 4 words, right? We'll actually fixer. No, we have to guess fixer. So what we can do is we can guess fixer at this point. And what will happen is we'll either get it right, or if we get it wrong, we know exactly which one of those 3 words it is. And in this case, this would be our 4th guess, this would be our 5th guess, and we could get it in 6. So this would be the optimal way to play out the Wordle from this point on. Now, obviously, it's unlikely that you'd be able to think of all of these words, like, hirer. It's quite an obscure word. And I don't know if all of these words are even possible as the right answer, but they're all quite common words actually. They're not like obscure words. So you can probably come up with the list, like at least 11 or 12 of them, if you sit and think about it long enough. So what I did was, if you're curious, I just guessed pivot at this point, because I sat and thought about it for a long time, because this is when I realized my mistake. And yeah, pivot. In the worst case scenario, I have 3 options, but I turned out actually to be right. It was Piper. So it wasn't actually a great guess, because I actually didn't think of Riper, right? So I thought in this scenario, I'd only have Wiper. And here, I actually didn't think of River. So I thought I would only have Giver. So I thought, like, okay, I'm just going to take the risk. And it turns out it was Piper. So I luckily got it right. But yeah, so this would be the optimal way to play it. So um, for the most part, you can just do the human thing of adhering to the clues you've been given strictly. But when you realize there's a lot of words that fall in a particular structure and all the words look the same, like wiper, giver, viper, mixer, piper, fiber, river, then you can sort of list them out and adopt this strategy where you look at the most common letters and you guess a word which will eliminate some of them. And I thought that was pretty interesting, and you probably didn't. So there you go.